The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I knew you'd come.
Delete! 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 Delete!
Bring Freddy Krueger's world, Elm Street. We want to see Bray Wyatt's version of the Boiler Room.
My name is Dario Cueto. My relationship with the wrestlers is very special.
And he's hanging out with Masquerita Sagrada in what looks like his basement. And then his mom shows up with bagel bites. It's glorious.
Oh, that's awesome.
We are scientifically proven to be the best tag team, and not just in NXT, not just in the WWE, but in the entire universe.
Come on, wait. You don't want to win the belt like this. Come on, you know what happened, man.
What's going on?
You can't win the belt like this.
1, 2,
Your
3.
family, think
English,
about your history.
English or Spanish? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
You know what you did.
Listen to me, amigo. All that I know is that tonight we're making history because El Patron, the pride of Mexico, is the new heavyweight champion in TNA. But you already knew that.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Welcome, everyone, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 237, part 2. And tonight we have a show stock full of greatness because we are going to get into some quick hits, like maybe some NXT talent growing. That's right, we have some more people heading that way. We'll tell you who could be also added to that. We'll also be giving you some information about a wrestling talent that passed away recently, and so we'll be talking about that, and we'll also be getting into some other big news. I mean, we got some Lucha Underground news as well, so trust me, they're still around. People just haven't had a chance to really talk about them. Now we finally got something else. Also, we're going to be talking a little New Japan Cup. That's right, that show's been going strong, and can't wait to kind of give you some information about that and preview. And plus, we're also going to be talking a lot about this week's Impact, which is under new leadership. So trust me, that's going to be very interesting to talk about. That's one of my highlights tonight. I can't wait to get into that. Trust me, it's going to be a fun show. Of course, I'm your host, Gary Vaughan. Of course, with me is Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's up, everybody?
And tonight we are without one guy, and he's a very important guy, but he is not around, and so we have to go on. The show must go on. Paul Leeser is not around. But hey, I mean, sometimes that's the way it works out for all of us, of course. If you listen to this show, all of us have missed a show or two, so just tonight's Paul's turn, but hopefully he's okay, and he'll be doing shows with us next week, so hopefully he gets a chance to rest up a little bit and get his stuff together to talk about, what's going on in this Impact, because I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this as well. So, just go to Wrestling to the Max and hit subscribe on it if you use iTunes or whatever you use. Go subscribe now. Also, W2M Network will get you more than just us. It'll get you other great wrestling shows, plus all the other great content that you can find at W2Mnet.com. Sean, I mean, we got a full show ahead of us and a lot of great stuff to talk about. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. Anything going on with you before we jump into wrestling talk?
Yeah, sadly, I may have talked about him on here a couple of times. I'm sure I have. It just, we've done over 400 episodes of the show, if you count all the extras and everything. That, everything we've talked about here is a blur. But, my boss, who is from India, and he's an Indian Muslim. He passed away from complications from lung cancer yesterday, and it sucks because it's like he had gone away. I mean, he found out about, I want to say 6 or 7 months ago that he had lung cancer, and he mysteriously, not that I know of, he may have hid it from me when I've asked him before if he ever smoked or chewed tobacco or whatever. He told me no. But I mean, his teeth were kind of really rotten, and and I want to say that, like, I always thought maybe, I don't know his previous life, if it just may have been weird things, but there are people that get lung cancer, you don't smoke. Mm-hmm. So either way, he went away, and he went away to get chemo and all this stuff, but like his insurance was through Kmart, so he had to come back, even though he really shouldn't have, because if he didn't work, they couldn't take the chemo payments out of his check, so the insurance would cover it. He had to pay for the chemo payments out of pocket, $600 every time. Wow. And like, he forced himself to come back to work, and I don't think he really should have. I don't know how much of effect it had on him or not. But the last time I saw him, he was just like sitting down out of breath, and you could tell that he really shouldn't have been there. And it was sad because it's like he left that day, and it's now been, I think, like 2 weeks since he's worked last, 2 or 3 weeks, and that was the last time I ever saw him. And it makes me sad that such a good guy that's done a lot for me. He helped me get my apartment that we had before this one. He's a really good, he's helped me out when I had some money troubles, and he helped me out, and he just couldn't ask for a kinder guy. We may have had different philosophies on life and whatever, but the dude was just so good, and just, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I just didn't think the last time I'd see him, I thought maybe, okay, he'd get better, just he'd have to retire from working, but he'd still get to have a good life, a full life. And he was, I think in his late 50s. So, he got to live life. He was an archer in the Olympics.
Wow.
So, and he has this beautiful house in India and everything. So it's not like he leaves a legacy behind, certainly for his family and everything. Just it sucks,
Yeah. Yeah. That is tough. I'm sorry to hear that. I really, really am. And, I think it'd only be fitting to dedicate this show to his memory. And, even though, we, people out there, including myself, don't know him, he sounds like an amazing guy. And, he's deserving of getting some, credit and love out there. So, and prayers and wishes and all those good thoughts go to his family. That's a terrible thing, and cancer is evil, and it's hit us all. I don't think there's one person out there that cancer has not affected their family or friends somehow. So, best wishes to them for sure. So, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely some sad news here, and hopefully we'll have bigger and brighter things. I know if you want to, let's end this on a bright note. My daughter was in swim class, did better this week. I'm proud of her. So that made me happy today, Sean. That was one thing I could smile about.
Yeah, Naya gets to go on her first, I think, like, big field trip for Disney on Ice next month. Just had to pay for it because it's like tomorrow's the deadline or whatever. And it was kind of cool. She gets to go to the American Airlines Arena and watch Disney on Ice, like a big girl with all her classmates and stuff. And it's just, that's cool,
Yeah.
That's awesome. A little bit of an early birthday present because it's like a week before her birthday. So
cool.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about taking my daughter to the same thing. So hopefully, they'll both get a chance to see it. So that's it. That, at least that's something happy we ended with, right?
Yeah.
So,
certainly. But you haven't seen the Logan movie yet, have you?
No, I haven't. And I'm actually looking forward to going to W2Mnet.com and checking out that Logan preview on there. So, because I need that review, the review that we have on there from the Ratledge broadcasting. I want to go see that, and so hopefully they can give me some tips on if I should go spend the money. But yeah. Well, Sean, we got lots of news and different things to talk about tonight. So I think we should jump into this thing. So why don't we go into some quick hits right now?
Sure thing.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, I try to end the last segment on something.
I just wanted to point this out because I want to say this early so that if something happens, there's probably that more people heard it than not. Because if we stayed at the end, there's a chance people didn't listen all the way to the end. But we're hoping nothing happens, that everything goes well and nothing happens to your feed or anything, but we have to go through a process where we have to try to use, some things happen sometimes with monetary things or whatever, and we were running on a deal with Spreaker where they were letting us have 50% off for all of last year to have their best package or whatever, which allows us to basically have the W2M network because it's unlimited storage. So they couldn't give us the same deal, but they were able to give us a 30% off coupon or whatever. So we have to sort of cancel the package and then re-subscribe to it. So it shouldn't affect anything, but just in case for some reason like the coupon has problems and I have to get into contact with them and get them to issue us another one or whatever, there's a possibility that on Monday, especially overnight on Monday, and hopefully we'll have it fixed before Raw, so that when we get our Raw review, we can do it like normal. But there's perhaps a chance on Monday that the feed could go down. So if you don't listen to this episode by, Sunday overnight or whatever, there's a chance that on Monday the feed may be unavailable. But like I said, for sure, by the time we do the Raw review, everything should be good and everything should be figured out. So it shouldn't really be a big deal. Just I wanted to let people know, those of you that kind of wait sometimes later in the week to listen to things, just there's a possibility. It's probably that like for a few hours or so, the feed could go down on Monday.
Yeah. So just be aware of that. And, of course, if you were wondering what happened and you just now got this episode or any other episodes you were wanting to listen to, there you go. That's the answer. And I'm looking forward to
and of course,
not having
if you listen
problems.
on YouTube, you don't have to worry about that. But if you listen on all the other feeds, that's where it gets affected.
Yeah. So hopefully we don't have to worry about any of that. Hopefully it all goes smoothly. So we'll see. But yeah, let's talk about Ron Bass. He passed away, Sean, and that's sad because, he definitely, had an impact on wrestling and he, did his thing. But, I don't personally know a lot about him. But I do know he was kind of a guy. He wrestled, I think, in the WWF in the was it middle 80s, early 80s or something like that?
Yeah, the late 80s.
Late 80s, okay.
Because he was in the first Survivor Series.
Okay, so NWA in the 70s, though.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He was mainly an NWA guy from the 70s, basically the beginning of the 70s until right when he went to WWE in 1987. So that's where he went to different territories using different names, actually, and I'm going to be honest, this is from reading a Meltzer, which Meltzer did a great job. One of the best things to have the Observer, I hate saying this, because, it's terrible when anyone dies, but I'll be honest, one of the best things that Dave Meltzer does in the Observer is when someone passes or someone reaches some kind of milestone and he goes through a whole history of their career, there is still nobody better than Meltzer at chronicling somebody's career. And you will learn a ton about Outlaw Ron Bass that you did not know. So this is basic, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know a ton about Ron Bass either, just like Gary. I've gone back and watched some of these older Survivor Series and Royal Rumbles, and I've seen him. Like he was in the first Royal Rumble, the one on USA Network. He was in the Battle Royal at WrestleMania 4, which I kind of forget about because that's that. I think I usually skip that Battle Royal WrestleMania 4 when I end up watching it because it's not part of the tournament. So I never really noticed that he's in there, but he was in like some very first for WWE and stuff during that late 80s period where WWE was sort of kind of branching out and not just having WrestleMania and having other pay-per-views. But he was in NWA, and he had a really long and actually really cool feud with Barry Windham, where Barry Windham actually wound up losing a loser leaves town match, and then Barry Windham had to come back as a masked guy, the Dirty Yellow Dog, and wrestle because he'd lost. So he retired in '91, and he wound up dying from complications from getting his appendix taken out, which it's always sad because when you get into older age, almost anything it can cause you to have complications. But he's 68, so he still got to live a full life for the still young, but
Exactly. I mean, still young, and like you said, though, when you get to your 60s, it does become a little bit harder to recover from things, and we saw this with Bill Paxton, right? I mean, going in for surgery and having complications and passing away out of nowhere, and this stuff happens. It's so sad, and I wish I knew more about Ron Bass. I was not a big NWA guy, never really followed it a whole lot, and early 80s. Late 80s, even WBF, my knowledge is a little bit limited on all that because I really did not watch a lot of wrestling from that time period. So, I mean, sadly, I don't know a lot about him, but what's important here is, like we talked about, he was a guy that definitely had some name value, and he really did have a lot to offer. So it's just so sad to hear that he's passed away, but I just want to throw that out there first so we can get the kind of done because we hope the best for him, but I always hate ending quick hits on the sad news. I like to kind of start it out that way. But let's talk about something that's actually maybe some good news, and Sean could probably tell you more about this. That's why I kind of miss Paul's, because Paul and Sean sometimes know some more of these independent wrestlers, and they can kind of give us some more information about them. But Stardom is losing somebody that you may be a fan of, and that's Kairi Hojo. And she is going to be taking her talent and heading over to NXT. Yeah, that's right. So you'll be hopefully seeing her in the near future. But what's interesting about this, Sean, is the fact that this is making someone else very interesting and intriguing because now this person may be following suit, and that is Shirai. And she is thinking about now heading over to NXT because of this move by Hojo. So what do you think about this? We've talked about both of them. We've talked about both of them possibly going to NXT. But when you're actually seeing one actually have signed a deal, it's actually a 3-year deal, you know now that this is going to take place. How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, first of all, I got to say it as someone that's been a Stardom watcher, subscribes to Stardom World, and then I kind of unsubscribed just because I had to start trimming the amount of subscription services that I had because look, I'm not a total cord cutter because Comcast, the internet package that I have, which I really need to investigate how much it would cost, how much it would really hurt me if I go down in the internet, whatever, but Comcast makes you pay for unlimited internet, so it's like $50 a month that I have to pay for just unlimited internet. Then you come in and go, okay, well, they said, well, if I keep my internet that I have now, it's basically stupid if I if I go all the way down to limited cable, like basically to where I have like the locals pretty much, and keep my box, it's the same as if I just cut the cord completely. So, plus it helps my mom because she watches all those Spanish soap operas, and I'm sure she's watched, Dario Cueto in one of them. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
sure.
but anyway, my point is that like I had to start trimming the fat. What we didn't need, what we didn't cover on the show, I kind of had to start going. I can't afford it right now. So, but I loved watching Kairi Hojo. She was my favorite actually of the three big named the three big names of Stardom. Because I really loved her wrestling style. She was in your face, strong style. But she was also like funny, and she didn't have a problem like just. All of them have the personality, which makes them kind of cool. And Stardom has this thing where like they had a thing at one point where it's like a tea time with them where they would go and talk. And they have kind of learned to speak English because in Stardom World they make them cut the promos in English. So that's a thing that helps Kairi too, is she's not coming over with totally not knowing anything about the language. I don't know that she's as good as Shinsuke or whatever, but she might be even more familiar with English than say Asuka. So that helps her, and she is very similar to Asuka in that you know what you're gonna get when you see her, and supremely athletic, and even better if you get Io Shirai coming. She is the queen of Stardom. She's pretty much your Tanahashi. She has been the ace of Stardom for a long time, pretty much ever since Stardom has been around. And Kairi was a trainee in Stardom. Ever since she started, she's been with Stardom since 2011 until the present. And that's the thing, is both of them have been there so long, you've kind of done everything you can do. Like, if I go down Kairi's accomplishments, she's won every title that they have. Most recently, she finally won the Wonder of Stardom Championship, or Wonder of Stardom Championship, which she still holds right now. She just lost the tag team titles on the March 5th show. So I'm sure whichever the next show is, she'll lose the Wonder of Stardom title. And Io Shirai has also multiple time been champion and won everything. And like, how much more is there left for them to do? And Stardom is pretty much like the New Japan of Joshi Wrestling right now. So other than going to another Joshi company, which would be a lesser company, it'd be like going from New Japan to Noah for no reason other than just to do it. It's to go to WWE. So I don't blame Io or Kairi for, they reconsidered previously, like 6 months ago, and they stayed with Stardom. And now I think with the women's tournament happening, and I think Shinsuke and Nakamura's been the guy that's really been talking to Kairi about coming. And I think he has a big hand in bringing her over. And at one point, I think earlier, one of the reasons Io didn't want to come is because apparently her and Asuka don't get along very well. So maybe they've patched that up. But Io's supposed to be going WrestleMania weekend. So I think she's going to kind of see how things are. And if she really wants to come or not. But that's the thing, because there's still kind of rumors of her maybe having signed with Lucha Underground. But there's nothing on that yet. And if I'm Io, why are you signing with Lucha Underground? You don't know what their future is going to be at this point. Obviously WWE is the more you know what you're going to get company. They are certainly trying with the women's wrestling and everything. But the thing that hurts Stardom the most is that their ace coming up, the person that they were relying on to carry the company, Mayu Iwatani, who was also part of the Lucha. These three that I'm talking about are the three women that were fought Pentagon Dark and Lucha Underground. If you followed them this season, Mayu is supposed to be the sort of the up and coming one, the one that's supposed to take it over, and she wants to retire. So not only are they losing Kairi and Io, they are losing Mayu. So they're having to just start and just now they're having to scramble as to who's going to be the next person in waiting. And yeah, they have some strong, gaijins, especially Toni Storm and everything. But is she going to be enough to carry them? And she's already proclaiming herself. She says she's taking her spot and doing all that. But Io does have a 10th anniversary show coming up, and you have to wonder if that's sort of going to wind up being also sort of being a farewell show for her too. But we'll see. It's sad for Stardom again because they're losing their big three, and to go from your big three to nothing, and you're going to have to scramble and basically do what New Japan did, and you're losing important people. How are you going to be able to cover that? And now the company's bigger, right? They have Stardom World. They have other things that they have to consider. They're not just a company doing shows. So all this matters. And hopefully for Stardom it doesn't hurt them too bad. But look, this is a huge thing for WWE. And if you don't know who Kairi is for sure, and if you don't know who Io is, you really need to familiarize yourself with them, because they are going to knock your socks off as far as what they bring to the table, whether they come to NXT, whether they go straight to WWE, whether they debut in the women's tournament, which I think would be probably the perfect place to debut them, so you have a chance to get familiar with them too before they start off in NXT. But going to be interesting if this allows for Asuka to finally go to the main roster. I have a feeling that really Kairi is being signed so that they can finally let Asuka get out of NXT.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to do it, to find that next big name for your roster as you move other big names out, right? And that would definitely be to me, a fluid transition. And, Asuka could be definitely used on SmackDown, even Raw, but I think SmackDown would be a great place. And like we were talking off air, Asuka's already been seen doing some shows with SmackDown, on live events and things like that. So, I mean, this is the perfect opportunity and some great talent to add to that NXT roster. So this is a good deal. I'm really, really looking forward to hopefully seeing both ladies, not just one. Hopefully, we get the Io thing going and she gets to be a part of NXT as well. So, or wherever. I mean, if it's the main roster, heck, more power to them. I don't know. But yeah, let's talk about something else here that's kind of interesting that we had, kind of taken place. Kevin Kelly, we've talked about him in the, recent weeks, and that's because of the fact that he stopped doing Ring of Honor stuff, and then all of a sudden he was back doing Ring of Honor stuff, and wait a minute, how is this all shaking out? Well, this is how it's all shaking out. We've had him make deals to stay on and do TV tapings, and once again, we've got him doing a deal with the 15th anniversary show. Well, he'll be a part of that, as well as the TV taping after that show. So it looks like really Kevin Kelly is doing the big shows, the pay-per-views, and of course just doing the TV tapings and kind of leaving it at that. So to me, Sean, I mean, I know me and Paul talk about him all the time and how, it's good to have him part of it. About this, Kevin Kelly, at least sticking around to do this type of stuff. I think it's valuable.
Yeah, it's one of these things with, Kevin Kelly is still sort of the voice of ROH, and I think having him around for the big shows kind of allows. At some point, you do need to let Ian Riccaboni sort of take over completely, right? I think to be fair to him, who's going to be doing. You got to let him finally be the guy doing your TV tapings, and especially your TV tapings. Like, I understand if you want to bring Kevin Kelly in for the big events or whatever, but like, you need to let Ian Riccaboni do the TV tapings or whatever. Let Kevin Kelly go and do what he decided to do, which is sort of be the New Japan English announcer. And you need to let Ian Riccoboni be groomed to. I get that Ian's sort of doing all the house shows and which all air on which you can buy on demand or whatever, so you still get to hear his voice. But I'm just saying, like, I understand that Kevin Kelly, important part, especially when you have the New Japan joint shows where the New Japan guys are there and all that. But I just think that for the 15th anniversary, I think it's fine, because Kevin Kelly's been such a big part of ROH for quite a while. But after this, and after you get out of the New Japan joint shows, whatever, I think you really need to start kind of winding that down and let Ian, who's been there with you, he's really good, let him have his time.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think you got to give him, some time, because of the fact that people have got to get used to him, especially if Kevin Kelly is kind of, slowly making his way out of this company. And, I'm sure eventually he will. You've got to give Ian that opportunity to, be the voice of Ring of Honor, since, the guy that we always think about when it comes to Ring of Honor is leaving. So you've got to go ahead and develop that talent. You've got to get him in there and doing big matches and doing whatever you think would be necessary to make him reach that next level for you. And hopefully they do that. But, I understand, though, holding on to Kevin Kelly as long as you really can is not terrible either, because people are used to him and he knows the talent in the ring very, very well. So, but yeah, well, let's, since we're talking Ring of Honor, I think we should also throw in the Hardy Boys. That's right. We've been talking about them for a little while now, and we talked on Monday's show about the fact about them signing with Ring of Honor and all that comes with it. But what we don't know, and what we've kind of basically second-guessed ourselves on, is how long is that deal that the Hardys have with Ring of Honor? Well, we're getting word out now that the short-term thing may be more realistic than we once thought. We kept hearing that, no, it's probably a long-term deal. But now we're getting more information kind of saying it's a short-term deal. I mean, Sean, I don't know. I think that, when you think about this, you always think about WrestleMania. And when this deal could be up, it could be right before WrestleMania. Do you think that's more likely? Or how do you feel about this? Do you think the Hardys are in the long haul for Ring of Honor?
Yeah, no, I don't. I still feel like there's a reason why Ring of Honor hasn't come out and said they signed a 3-year deal, or whatever. Why keep it quiet if there's not something you're trying to hide? And the Hardys are trying to hide, because we know how Vince is. Could you imagine if it came out that Vince just allowed them to sign early with ROH? But ROH is only using them sort of short term, and then we know that they're coming to WWE. Like, he'd hate that. We know how he is about wanting to have surprises, and at least until they have the medicals and they can. And that's something that we haven't found out, is obviously once you get that WWE medical and somebody finds out that they did, that's it. You're signed, pretty much, unless you fail your medical or whatever. So I think they're trying to hide it because, number one, they're going to piss WWE off, and number two, I think ROH doesn't want to know that they basically kind of short sign the Hardys, and then they're going to let WWE just take them. I think in a way Sinclair would kind of see that as a blow to them, as still being underneath WWE when it comes to signing talent and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't blame both sides that they're trying to keep it in the rats, but I just feel like, at the end of the day, I understand why the Hardys are doing it. I understand ROH's side. Like, it's smart to go ahead and start this feud with the Young Bucks now, instead of just, we're going to have this one match on April 1st and that's it. Like, I think that's a cool thing. It's a good idea. I just don't know if they've signed. I just don't believe this whole, like, it's such a contrast depending on who you read and who says what and whatever. Like, I'm gonna err on the side of they're still WWE bound. And there's also talk of Maria and Mike Bennett might be going. The reason why they haven't said what they're doing either is because they're head to WWE too. Yeah,
Wow.
maybe Maria's one of the former talents that, remember when they said they were calling former talents for the tournament or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Maria's one of those former ones or whatever. Even though she hadn't wrestled really in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a very, very long time, and those two names, the Bennetts, I think they have something to offer, but I think the Hardys are the hottest item, and it would make all the sense in the world for them to have a short-term deal and then hop over to WWE as soon as they get through with it. The deal is we don't know the exact terms of that, and not only that, of the real length of this contract. You haven't got a straight answer out of the Hardys. You haven't got a straight answer really of anybody, just a speculation. So however it all shakes out, I think that it's going to be good for the Hardys. I really do. Even if there's a long-term deal for Ring of Honor and them, I think they'll make the best of it. It's a short-term deal. They're going to make WrestleMania amazing if they were to pop up anywhere on that show. Just to pop up, even if they're not in the ring wrestling, just showing up would be amazing for all the fans. So we'll find out. I mean, it won't be long before we get a chance to really, hear and see what they're going to be doing. But yeah, I mean, I just mentioned WrestleMania. I also want to throw out there that, the whole card apparently is pretty much set for the most part for WrestleMania. I think we got like 14 matches to do, and we're still kind of waiting on to see the Big Show and Shaq thing, all that. But I don't know, Sean. I mean, so far what we're seeing and what we're getting out of this card, I mean, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much the stuff we expected, right? All this stuff we've heard for a long time. It's not anything new. I think the only thing that we don't know for sure is what American Alpha are going to be doing. That's it. Everything. I mean, and then, they're still wishy-washy on the Shaq and Big Show thing, but it seems like that's just not happening, as we've talked about several times now. I think 14 matches is still a lot of matches for me. Regardless of whether this is a 5-hour show or 7-hour show or whatever the hell hour show this becomes. Just remember that you got people sitting in seats for that long. You got people sitting on their butts you're not, because at home you could do whatever you want, but still, you're sitting there watching a show for 7 hours, 8 hours. Not to mention the time that you're sitting there waiting for them to open the doors and all that stuff. It's pretty much a whole day now that you got to dedicate to WrestleMania. Like, you don't get a whole lot of time during the day to just go screw around and whatever, because by the time like 2 or 3 o'clock rolls around, you got to be there waiting in line. And it just keeps getting earlier and earlier because they keep making the show longer and longer. And you got to remember that this hurts your main event. The longer you make your show, the more you're putting pressure on your main event to deliver and not have them be tired as hell by the time they get there. And that's kind of wrong to whatever your title match, whatever match it is. Like, can you imagine if they really put Goldberg and Brock on last? Ooh. How irritable those people are going to be. You thought Roman Reigns and Triple H was bad last year. Just imagine. You'll get a repeat of WrestleMania 20 again. They need to be careful. Yeah. I just got to say, they got to be careful what they do here.
No. And I don't blame you for saying that. I really don't. I look at this and I say, okay, there's some intriguing things, but there's a lot of stuff on this card for WrestleMania 33 that I can't say I'm really sold on, that I'm going to love, that I'm going to be super excited about, that it's a big-time match, right? And even some of the big-time matches you just mentioned, I mean, there's a one that we kind of glare at, which is Goldberg and Lesnar, that we keep thinking it could be really good or probably most likely not as good as we would want it to be. And that's a big problem. That's kind of a fear coming in. So I mean, I hope the best for him for sure. I mean, I want everything to work out because I want a good WrestleMania to watch. I definitely don't want to watch a piece of crap. I want to get a show that I care about, that I'm interested in, I want to tell people about. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But I mean, at least now we kind of have a card that is, indicative of everything they've done, setting up wise, and it's something that I think, will at least keep us interested in for the time being. One last thing before we move out of quick hits, I want to mention really quickly that Lucha Underground has signed a deal with, I believe it's Tele5. This is a German network in over there. So, we, have this going on. This is good for Lucha Underground. I mean, they're at least making some headway somewhere else besides the, States.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's always good to hear Lucha Underground getting new TV deals and stuff. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. So best wishes to them. We definitely miss Lucha Underground on this show. We miss covering it. So, but yeah, that's quick hits for us, everybody. So there you go. That's the news we have for you this week. But we're going to hop into some other stuff like, that's right, New Japan Cup. We got to preview that really quickly and give you all the information on that. And of course, don't forget, we'll be doing some Impact Wrestling talk too in this episode. So yeah, Sean, let's do it. Let's talk some New Japan Cup.
Let's do it.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
All right, so of course, New Japan Cup, the annual March tournament that they've had for quite some time now. This we've talked about this previously, that of course because of Hanma's injury, he'd had to be replaced by Yuji Nagata, but nothing else has changed on that front about the tournament. You have still the left side of the bracket is Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Evil. These are all the Saturday morning matches. Then you're going to have on the other side of the bracket, it's going to be the Sunday morning match. If you live in the United States, of course. It's actually technically Saturday night and Sunday night. And so the first four matches are going to be Tanahashi and Evil. You're going to have Yuji Nagata and Tonga Loa. You get Michael Elgin and Bad Luck Fale. That should be an interesting matchup of two big guys. And then you get Toru Yano and Tama Tonga. So Tanahashi always loses in the first round of New Japan Cup. I don't think it's going to be any different. So I'll say Evil. And then I think Yuji Nagata getting in for Hanma sort of plays in much better because Yuji Nagata and Evil sort of have a little bit of history from the G1, and I think they wrestled a few other times, at least one more time. Now listen, in these tournaments, New Japan does not care if they have a heel versus heel match, if that's what they want to have. So I wouldn't necessarily look at it from that kind of perspective. There's a possibility if they want to that they'll have Evil and Tonga Loa if they want. But I think you'll get Evil and Yuji Nagata in the next round. And I think Michael Elgin is destined to go far here, so he beats Fale, and you're going to get, I think, Toru Yano pulling a Toru Yano and beating Tama Tonga. You agree or disagree with any of that? Anything you want to change, Gary?
No, I think you're correct on pretty much everything you just said. I kind of follow that same philosophy, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how it really does shake out. I know these are, it's kind of funny when you try to predict New Japan because a lot of times you'll get some things right, but then they'll just throw you a curveball you didn't see coming. So I agree with you, but I could definitely understand if it's not exactly like that.
Yeah, you're totally right about that. And of course, they will also be only showing the New Japan Cup matches. There's matches on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They take a break on Thursday, then do a show on Friday. Let me make sure I'm looking at this right. Friday, and then they do a show Sunday and Monday, which the Sunday and Monday shows will be live. You'll get to see the whole show. The same thing with the ones on Saturday and Sunday. But the other in-between quarterfinal matches will only be those matches that get uploaded to New Japan World, just so that you know. So the other side of the bracket, we got some juicier matchups here. 3 out of the 4 matchups here are going to be dandies for sure. You get Katsuri Shibata taking on Minoru Suzuki. Oh my god. Matchup of styles between these two. 2 guys that are going to want to beat the crap out of each other. They could try to submit each other. They could just get in a shoot fight for all we know. 2 guys that are very familiar with MMA, so this could go from a myriad of ways. You get Juice Robinson against Yujiro. You also get Tomohiro Ishii against Kenny Omega. The return of Kenny Omega here to proper New Japan shows. And you get Yoshihashi and Sanada. And for a long period last year, you had Yoshihashi and Sanada have like a little feud. So that's really kind of cool that they get to renew that here in the New Japan Cup. I think Sanada's definitely going to get the better of Yoshihashi here to get LIJ moving along once again. Kenny Omega definitely going to beat Tomohiro Ishii. As much as I hate to say that, Ishii is wonderful, but I think Kenny Omega is certainly not going to lose in the first round here. Yujiro, I think since you already have one Bullet Club guy, I think you're going to have Juice Robinson go through, and I think Shibata goes through against Minoru Suzuki. Anything you want to change there, or totally agree? What do you think?
No, it's kind of interesting that you picked against Ishii, right? I mean, because Kenny Omega, you would assume that he would get to go further, and that's a tough one for me because I could see it either or, But I think I'm going to agree with you on Kenny Omega being the victor in that one, and Juice Robinson's another guy that I like to follow, and I think he'll be successful as well. So I think we're kind of on the same page as this one.
I think when it gets to the next round, I think you got Evil advancing past Nagata. I think they want to push Evil a little bit here. Nagata obviously being an elder statesman, it would be a good win for him to get over Nagata and to kind of push into the semifinal. I think there's always a chance Toru Yano pulls out the crazy and keeps going, but I think definitely Elgin is going to shine here, and this also builds up to another big match between him and Evil that they have history with each other as well. Then you get the other one. I think Shibata over Juice is certainly going to happen here. I think Juice winning the first round is kind of one of the surprise ones to surprise Yujiro, but I don't see him getting past Shibata. That's crazy, especially with Shibata not having a title or anything. I don't see it. It wouldn't really mean much for them to have another rematch or anything like that. Sanada and Omega, that's going to be one hell of a match. Number one, I can't wait to see that, but man, that one's hard. I think getting to sort of, again, renew another G1 match, one that we did not see Omega kind of defend the case against Shibata. I think Omega doesn't need to, but I think it'd be kind of weird to see Omega lose in the quarters, so I'm going to say Omega gets through. Then you get 2 awesome matches here. You get Michael Elgin and Evil. I think you get Elgin winning to get to the final, and then and then the other one could go either way because it just depends on if this is going to be the year that Shibata wins the G1. Do you want to start him out here also winning New Japan Cup, or do you want, because the winner gets a title match of any of the belts of their choosing. It just But I'm going to say Omega. And then I'm going to say... who's world champion? I'm going to say Okada. Would they really want to do Omega and Okada rematch, though? At freaking Sakura Genesis in April. That's an interesting one. That seems like really early for them to do that. You know what? I'll say Michael Elgin wins. And they could do a Michael Elgin or Okada at Sakura Genesis.
Yeah, and I could definitely see it. I mean, I could definitely understand why they would want to do that. So it's kind of hard for me to knock it. But for fun, I'll just say Juice Robinson in the final.
Really? Against
I think it'd be interesting. I'll try to think of my options again now. I'm trying to go do the bracket in my head. I'm not actually looking at the bracket. Who's on the other side? Give me a look.
You have Evil or Elgin or Yano.
I think I'll say Juice Robinson against Elgin, and he would find a way to win.
It's an indie match.
I don't know. It's a wild thought. Yeah, it's a wild thought, but I mean, like I said before, New Japan throws curveballs sometimes, and that could be something new. Is it probably going to happen? No, it's a little far-fetched, but I think it could.
Yeah, I mean, so many things could happen here. I mean, Omega could win, Shibata could win, Elgin could win. Evil could get really far. Sonata could be the one in the final as well. So, interesting. They could do this so many different ways.
Yeah, that's what's so fun about New Japan Cup, because they do have so many different variations, and just when you think that they have a formula that you can figure out, they change it, right? So that's what makes it interesting, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun for us all to get a chance to check it out. So I think everybody needs to check out the New Japan Cup, and of course, I'm hoping that Paul and Sean can, of course, cover that. Hopefully, we will get all that in order. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, there's a match at least every day except for Thursday, and then on the weekend you'll have the two finals again. So should be fun.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that leaves us with talking about another show, and this is not a preview, but it's a review, and that is Impact Wrestling. And notice I left out those three little letters that we used to say. They're no longer valid here. It's just Impact Wrestling. So let's get into it, Sean. Let's talk a little Impact.
Well, give me a second here. The studio is funny how it always likes to, it likes to do its thing here with, it deletes things. Here we go.
Not only got it. All right.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
I did find a video later of the new song. I forgot to send it to you.
That's okay.
But so Impact Wrestling, the re-debut again. Oh my God! I wish they didn't.
Oh boy!
I wish they didn't. Oh, this was. I almost feel like I wish I would have gotten my 2 hours back of life that I spent watching this show. But to humor everyone that maybe he did not watch it, and hey, there's going to be plenty of humor for us to. If you're one of those diehard TNA fans, you're either going to get really angry at us or you're going to be distraught by the time we get to the end of this show, or maybe even in the middle of the show, like Garrett Kinney did. And he just couldn't finish his review because the show was terrible. But anyway, they start off this show with, acting as if it's in the middle of, it's already happening when they start. Okay, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards are brawling. They kind of go from the floor to the bleachers, back to the floor, and then all of a sudden you have Josh Matthews realizing that there is a third headset, and he freaks out. And he's like, oh my god, we don't need this. This is a SmackDown. There's no way we're going to have a third commentary. We're not having a 3-man booth. We're not going to have 47 announcers. All this, and then Jeremy Borash comes to the back, and they have to have an argument over the fact that Josh Matthews doesn't respect anyone, that nobody likes Josh Matthews, which is true. But Jeremy Borash is like, oh, there's new management here, and we have to have somebody that likes on the commentary, and you're only here because you left WWE. Oh wait, no, you got fired by WWE, and somebody thought that was a great thing, that because you're not with WWE, that they need to hire you, and that you're a Ken doll with no balls. And then Josh Matthews bring up that he learned under JR, and he's called WrestleManias. And basically, let's just talk about WWE for 10 minutes, guys, because, that's the great thing to do. And I don't give a crap about Shane Helms saying, why do we have to act like WWE doesn't exist? You know what? You sound like a second-rate fucking... Listen. This is all TNA has ever been for how many years now? You have been WWE Light, and nothing about this opening segment makes you think that you are anything but WWE Light when you're done with it. In fact, all I wanted to do was stick a pencil in my eye and keep stabbing myself because Josh Matthews is so bad. He's so bad, and he's doing Michael Cole heel stick, and it's annoying. Oh, and then to top it off, we have another ex-WWE guy, Cody Rhodes, just randomly shows up and says he wants to fight Moose. So, okay. And then Cody Rhodes is like an idiot here, like, oh, I just want me some Moose. And then he leaves. And it's like, what? Like, okay.
Okay, so, and I don't want to rant and rave, but I've got to join you on this. And this is my big problem. This is a re-debut, right? Yeah. Sean, this is supposed to be special, right? This is supposed to be something that's a milestone.
And I want to say, that cool opening video that they had, even though they praised more of their older talent than the younger talent, which is a problem throughout this show. The newer talent doesn't get praised as much as going through the history of TNA and talking about how great it was and whatever. The video package was cool, and then it opens to, okay, at least this is a feud that's going on, whatever. I can kind of suspend my disbelief that these two were just suddenly battling out here. But then just immediately you go into just total stupidity.
Exactly. That's the thing. This is supposed to be a milestone. This is supposed to be, I would even say, an episode that people want to go back and watch because guess what? It was the re-debut. This was the moment that Anthem Sports took over Impact, and now this is a new lifeblood version of Impact Wrestling. Well, guess what? You start out this show with chaos, like we're on episode
and not in a good way.
2 and not 1. Like literally. Yeah, not in a good way. Let me say this. This is like you getting on to Netflix and you pushing play on a TV show that you never watched before, and then they're like talking about something that happened, and you're like, wait a minute, I missed an episode because I do not know what this is about. I don't even have a setup. That's exactly what's going on with this whole fight. Sure, we know Eddie Edwards and all that's going on in that whole feud, but we don't need to see that happening immediately without anything to introduce it, right? And then you got Josh Matthews over here arguing with Jeremy Borash, and they're both acting like little fifth graders, and it is stupid, okay? Bringing up the WWE names, I get it. You want to bring some relevance. I think that's what this is about, Sean. They're trying to bring it to WWE so they can become relevant, They need WWE's names. They need all those different people that people
but
know.
Come on, like,
to
come
be
on.
relevant.
How, like, who thinks this is a great idea? Like, I can't believe Anthem just sits there and goes, or, well, you know who really thinks it's a great idea. Jeff Jarrett thinks that anytime you mention WWE, it's like, oh my God, look, we're not in the mid-2000s anymore. Like, mentioning WWE's name is not shocking anymore. It's stupid. It makes you look like a second-rate company. And then not I'm just saying, like, there are times where WWE is petty or whatever. But guess what? They're not going to go on Raw the next week and take a shot at TNA. Yeah. They're like the giant that just waves you off. Like, they're Andre the Giant, you're the little midget that decides that you want to go and call them out. He just goes, bye-bye, who cares about you?
Well, yeah, exactly. And think about this. There's a reason WWE doesn't bring up TNA at all. There's a reason they don't bring up a lot of other organizations and their champions or their just wrestlers in general. Because they don't want you going and finding that product, because then that takes your eyes away from their product. There's a reason why they do that. And, they're sitting here, Impact, and they're really getting involved in talking about AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, all these big names that are currently, doing great things on WWE television. So that makes you wonder where they're at. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm going to go find them. Oh, well, guess where they're going. Oh, we don't have them here on this show, but we're going to talk about them as if they're part of this show or something, as if they were coming back here or something. That's not happening, people. So it bugs me to death. And, I get it. There's this whole commentary feud that they've got going on, and then you got Cody Rhodes doing this whole thing of calling out Moose, and there's no payoff for it either. We know there's no payoff for it, but this is the dumbest thing too. They don't have a wrestler or a authority figure come and confront. He walks away after telling people, I'm going to sit here until something happens, and then he walks away. Dear God, that was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. What was the purpose in that? What did that solve? It's almost brain dead stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it solved nothing. So your first match is Reno Scum. This is part of the GFW sort of relationship or whatever. Adam Thornstowe and Luster the Legend against Death Council, Bram and Eddie Kingston. James Storm is out there. This lasts about less than 30 minutes. Okay, it's meant for Reno Scum to look good, and this really wasn't much of anything, but they got to win, right? That's good. Oh, well, not really, because Josh Matthews goes, oh, it was a fluke, and they were also arguing over each other the entire match. I don't think they even called a move. Like, it was just, it was stupid, and like, you automatically discount this team by going, oh, it's a fluke. It's like, oh, come on, man, just come on. Like, James Storm wasn't even involved. Like, who cares if Bram or Eddie Kingston got pinned?
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, and maybe I should talk about the match first, and I will. The match was fine for what it's worth. To me, you are leading to the DCC no longer being together, which I would assume would be the purpose for doing this, right? Not only to get a young tag team over, maybe not that young, but a tag team over that's new to this company over, that way that you can kind of, use them later on. And the DCC is probably going to break up anyway, so what's your loss? Nothing. I get all that. That's fine. But outside of that, really what you got here is you have a proof of, hey, look, the outside wrestlers, the people not in part of Impact, can come on here and beat the crap out of our normal wrestlers for Impact. So, guess what? These people are not very valuable. I don't like that. I don't think that should happen right away. I do think you got to put over people. But, man, introduce these people, have them wrestle some smaller matches, and then build up and then beat these guys that have been around forever. let's not do it immediately. I mean, just a small little pet peeve, but I just did not like that. Even though I don't really care about DCC, I could care less what happens to them. If they break up tomorrow, big deal. The commentary thing, though, Sean, but he's the one being the normal announcer, the one that's calling the match. And we've got Borash and Matthews over talking each other and complaining and da-da-da-da. And I'm getting sick of Jeremy Borash pretend like he's the most interesting person in the world when it comes to, educating us on wrestlers, right? The whole entire time. Well, did you know this guy took a piss in Ireland one time? Yeah, that's right. Oh, and did you also hear that his mother baked a cake yesterday? I'm like, shut up, man. Just let us enjoy I mean, my God. I get it. This guy wrestled in a gym in 1993, and then now he's here doing this. Who cares? Give us the basic information. They wrestled in this company, this company, this company. They've been 5-time champions. Okay, that's all we need to know. Okay, now let's move on and let's talk about what else they can do. Why we should enjoy them, not their history from beginning to end. And then Josh Matthews talking over you, talking about all this, just trying to play that heel.
Dick. Like,
yeah. Here's a problem.
No, he's being Michael Cole when Michael Cole was being a dick.
You're totally right.
And it's it was terrible then. It's terrible with Josh Matthews, and Josh Matthews is terrible anyway. And it's like, God, why? Why do you need this? It's distracting. I don't want to watch your match where the announcer is talking over the other announcer.
Yeah, and I think let's pretty much get this announcer stuff out of the way because we'd be talking about this every match.
I'm going to be talking about this every match because it happens every match.
Okay, then we'll do that. But I want to say one thing, and I'll just get this out of the way. It was getting borderline annoying for the fact that we had them making fun of WWE in a way because Josh Matthews is trying to put ads in while the match is going on. And yes, I get it. He kind of has to.
But Josh Matthews does that anyway.
I know he does.
You know how many times he talks about Schitt's Creek?
Oh,
he needs to take a shit up a creek and go somewhere. That's.
I know. But here's the thing, Sean. Here's the thing. He can do that all the time. But now he's doing it out of spite. Now he's doing it to throw it in Jeremy Borash's face. And Borash is trying to play that smart, intelligent guy. I used to really like Jeremy Borash, and then on this episode of Impact, I completely hate Borash now. I don't want to see his face. I don't want to hear his voice or anything after this.
Yeah, you don't even like Borash. You don't even feel sympathy for Borash. You just hate both guys.
They're both cocky jerks.
Yeah, because Borash is sitting there talking about, I got my phone, I got to answer it, and I got the backstage people are calling me to tell me what's going on, and Josh Matthews, you don't know what's going on. It's like, who gives a crap about any of this? Just focus on what is happening in the ring and call the match. Yeah. And you don't have to, call the moves. And I did think it was funny when Josh Matthews did the Michael Cole thing of you don't have to. I don't have to know all the moves, JB and whatever. And it's it's stupid. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get through the matches because they're pointless, except for the main event. The other matches are basically almost pointless. So Braxton Sutter has Allie out there. They have a 4-way X Division match. It's Braxton Sutter, Marshe Rockett, DJZ, and Caleb Conley. This was actually decent. This is probably the most decent match on the show. This was just kind of them, a fun match, doing the typical X Division stuff. Allie even does a plancha to the floor, and then this kind of distracts Rocket to where, Rocket to where Sutter can hit the neckbreaker and win. It's whatever, but again, the announcers don't even talk about the guys in the ring, really. They're just bickering. Mm-hmm. And it's just okay. And again, I don't think I even heard them really call a move. It is terrible. But, this match was okay, but it was nothing special. Nothing at all.
Yeah. you really just had a match. That's basically what you got here, a match. And as much as
the crowd likes Sutter and Allie, but you know.
Well, yeah, they're huge baby faces. They should like them. I mean, I think that's a solid thing. But here's the problem, Sean. The crowd loves them, but yet they kind of have a heelish moment there where Allie's jumping on another wrestler to distract them so her boyfriend can win the match. Oh, that sounds familiar. That sounds like a heel team. Like, hey, I'm going to hop up on the ropes to distract because you're not good enough to win. That's
I think it was more about like letting people see that Allie knows how to wrestle or whatever, or she's learning from Braxton or whatever, because now she doesn't have Maria there who magically had a nervous breakdown and is not going to come back to Impact. That's them explaining why her and Mike Bennett are not ever going to be back. So, like, it's just, what the hell, Yeah,
I get that. I get it, but my point in Allie, though, is I get that they want her to, showcase that she can do stuff, but have a match. Do something like that. Or have her, protect herself. Maybe have Sienna come out there to attack her, and maybe she's able to defend herself and get away from Sienna. Hey, that's fine. Now you showed me that she can do a couple moves. Not, hey, I'm going to distract so my boyfriend can win. That's just is a heel thing to do. And that's not a way to win people over. I mean, they still love him anyway. I mean,
right, yeah.
There's a lot of people that want Allie to jump on him, but it's just that it's not, it's a heel thing, you know what I mean? So,
at least they do continue the story with Laurel being drunk and then has to watch them kiss or whatever. But that
is so stupid too, Sean. That's the dumbest thing. They should have just ended this when they killed the word or the letters TNA. They should have killed that storyline.
Well, when Maria said she's not coming back, the story needed to die immediately.
Yep, immediately.
So you also have. Sienna, of course, I already told you she came out to say that Maria had a nervous breakdown and she's not coming back. And so then she has a match of Rachel Ellering, who's making her debut on Impact. And this is where, once again, Josh Matthews just absolutely makes Rachel Ellering feel like she is absolutely no one and that we don't need to care about her. And JB's sitting there trying to protect that she's great and whatever. And that, Sienna, and it's just like, what the hell? We finally get them calling a move when Ellering, who looked decent here, she actually looked good in this match, hits the springboard spinning leg drop. And we finally get JB saying a move, and then Matthews is like, whoa, what? Like, you don't need to call these moves. Like, they're so stupid. We're trying to go to the broader audience, the casual audience. It's like, look, if you're trying to remind me of things that make me hate WWE, you're doing them too. It doesn't make me like you anymore. It makes me hate you too. I want to see you do something different than what... Don't remind me of the reasons why I don't want to watch Raw or SmackDown. Just do you. God. Could you imagine if, like, your girlfriend find out all the bad things that your ex did, and she did those too? You know what's going to happen? She's also going to be your ex-girlfriend, because you're going to hate her. Like, it's just, oh my God, I don't understand this company. Like,
Hey, you're not wrong. Not one bit are you wrong on that. And, this is just... Oh, it just gave you a headache. And, the match itself was okay. I mean, actually, they put on a pretty decent bout here, but I just think that distraction you had the entire time took something away from the match, and it's not cute. It's not funny. I just wish one point in this show they could have just kept a straight commentary and done something different, maybe not spoke as much. I don't care. You took away something from these two and talents in the ring, and Sienna wins here. I kind of felt like maybe she should, only for the fact that once again, Ellering looks amazing. She does a great job in what she's in the performance. But, Sienna's been there. So don't have her lose immediately. But down the line, yes, Eldring needs to start winning matches and beat Sienna too. So I think for the talent-wise, they did a good job. It was the commentary that just ruined it all.
Yeah. And, it's not just the commentary. I should also mention that another actually decent segment on this show was that later they had a little bit more for the Eddie Edwards and David Richards. Eddie Edwards kind of badmouths David Richards or whatever, so Angelina Love kind of comes in and says, like, I married the real man, not you. And everybody should have been talking about David Richards, but his injury kept him out of the ring, and so that people started talking about you, and you won the titles and everything. And so you want to talk about the real man. Well, my husband is the real man, and then she slaps the crap out of him. And, of course, then, he makes the joke that you make about every man and his wife, that she hits harder than him. Or whatever, which, that's cliche, but I thought it kind of continued the story okay, and I was fine with this. Of course, right after that, you have to have Cody coming back. Knowing that Moose is in Japan with Pro Wrestling Noah, saying that he wants Moose, and then he's carrying around that stupid GFW title like people are supposed to know what that freaking thing is. You know how many people know what GFW is? You, some of the other wrestlers, and Jeff Jarrett. That's the only people who know who GFW is. Nobody else knows or cares about what Global Force Wrestling is. Nobody. Why the hell are you carrying around their title?
Once again, that was the whole Cody thing's brain dead. That was the dumbest thing. I mean, probably not the most dumbest thing on the show, but it was one of the dumbest things I've seen.
God, you could have had Cody come out with the Stardust gimmick on, and he would have looked more amusing, maybe.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And, that next-gen title, Cody just chunked it into the ring. I'm like, well, that shows me how much that title means to him. You know what I mean? I mean, it was just...
yeah, or you're supposed to be shocked that he did it. It's like,
yeah.
I don't even know what that is. It's like a toy.
Well, it probably is. It's a GFW title. It probably is a toy. But... it's probably an old spinner belt that they just painted GFW on. But I look at this and I have to say to myself, wow. So I didn't think that people could waste Cody, but yeah, they can. They can waste Cody. And then that other little segment you were talking about, Angelina Love, and of course, Eddie Edwards do fine here. I'm just getting sick of that feud. I really am. It doesn't have enough meat to it. I know, yes, to get the whole...
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys are not the most charismatic guys either.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not just that. It's the whole idea of, I'm mad because you didn't call me and come to my house and, hang out with me while I was injured and you went and won
Again, it's like the girlfriend that gets mad because you didn't call her enough.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that's a thing, but I'm just saying, it's also annoying. So
yeah. It's an annoying feud. The reason behind it's kind of annoying, and then just those two guys are just kind of ugh. So yeah, not thrilled about that either.
So you know what? Also, not only the announcers, but they had people come out and talk. You don't need more talking on Impact Wrestling. That's one of the things that you hate about Raw is how much talking they have to do. So, first of all, they have Bruce Pritchard come out, and they go, oh, there's a legend that's never been on Impact before. Hold on. Bruce Pritchard is a legend? Get the hell out of here with that shit. Number one. Number two, Bruce Pritchard comes out and shills his freaking podcast on your show. That's when you start realizing that the only reason he has a job is because of his podcast, which, look, it's a great podcast. I'm not going to sit there and hate on the podcast at all. I'm saying that why? Why? And then not only that, his whole promo is about how he was there when Stone Cold was in WWE, and The Rock, and John Cena, and Hulk Hogan. Basically, WWE is great, everybody. I come from there. You need to listen to what I'm saying. And then Lashley comes out, and what do? Oh, Lashley, he used to wrestle in WWE. And then, but Lashley's one of the best athletes there are today. And then guess what? Alberto El Patron debuts here. And they have to mention that Alberto El Patron is a former WWE champion because, why the hell not? And then, later they mentioned that he was a AAA Mega Champion and all that kind of whatever stuff. Of course, they don't mention the whole, he went back to WWE and took the Mega Championship with him or whatever. But, so then Alberto El Patron cuts his normal promo. It's nothing special. Trust me. Nothing special. Just pero, okay? And then EC3 comes out, thank God. And EC3's like, look, dude, you don't just get to come in here because you're new and get a title shot. And then Lashley, instead of protecting his freaking company, goes, oh, Patron, if you want a title shot, just ask me. I'm just like, oh my God, this is 2005 TNA again, where somebody walks in and just gets a title shot because they're from WWE. What? Why? Jeff Jarrett, why? I don't understand this. I just don't understand it. But it's like, we couldn't mention WWE enough in this segment. We just couldn't do it. And then then you give Alberto Patron a title shot on God's green earth. Why?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong again. And here's the thing.
And then you know what? They have a match and it's crappy. I was bored. I was just neither guy really cared. Okay, they were just going through the motions. And then you have the Jeff Jarrett special. Oh, let's hit the ref. Oh, but we're not going to do it one time, Gary. We're going to hit the ref again.
Yep.
And then, guess what? We're still not done. Alberto El Patron has to use the stupid title to win. He has to hit Lashley with the title and win. And he wins the title. And then, guess what, Gary? Then we do a stupid dusty finish at the end. Because, my God, we have to hand on a cliffhanger. And you know what? The whole time I sit there going, all I see is referees talking, and I see Alberto Patron celebrating, so I don't even know what the hell's going on. But this was dumb. And it's just like, the Impact from 2 weeks ago was better than this. Like, what?
Yep. Yeah, I'll just start with the match. It was okay. It was nothing great. It was just, I don't know. You should expect more out of this match. You really should, and you didn't get it. So the way they wanted it to happen is Alberto Patron wins this match, and he's a new Impact champion. It's a new thing, right, Sean? It's no longer that old guard where Bobby Lashley is a champion. Now it's our guy. It's Patron, which, okay, yeah, give him some. But to me, that was a hot shot kind of thing to do. You're hot shotting the title over to Patron.
Yeah, what a dumb way to make Lashley, who's been the best thing about your company in the past year, look like a total just nothing.
Well, this isn't exactly the same comparison, but to me, in a way, it can be. How many internet people freaked out when Goldberg beat Kevin Owens? Or think about when, Brock Lesnar, loses or something like that to Goldberg. How people flipped out. How dare that happen? That's, blah, blah, blah. That's the same thing here. Bobby Lashley's been running through people. The best people that could come in contact with him came in contact and lost to Bobby Lashley. Oh, but nope, Patron comes in. It's not that hard. I don't even have to have that good of a match.
At least they used the belt shot, so they protected him a little bit. But it's just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, even at that belt shot was tough. But at the same point, I've seen Bobby Lashley go through more hell than that and still pop up. So it was just, I understand. They want to add intrigue, and they want you to follow them backstage, which, you can go look at YouTube and watch the backstage off-air stuff, which you actually got to hear a little bit about in the intro tonight. But it's just so stupid. And I want to say this, too. The match stuff I just told you. But this whole thing, when you're talking about WB, Sean, you're totally right about that. You're just telling people, I come from a place that's better than here. Right? The place that I was at is way awesome because they didn't have any of those talents I just told you about, except, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, who came when he was unable to really wrestle. Yeah, that place is better. So, I'm Bruce Pritchard. I have a podcast, and this is a waste of your time because the place I was from was more amazing. It's so...
Oh, and then it gets worse because Dutch Mantel comes out here in his scooter. And he has to tell you, oh, I used to be Zeb Coulter. What? Why?
Yes.
Okay, we have to establish that he was in WWE too. Even though he's been in TNA before in a backstage role. And that was his point, first of all, that he's like, oh, this is my first time I've ever been on camera. But I wanted to let you know that I love wrestling, but we're going to try to make Impact great again. First of all, why the hell are you using a slogan from a president that is so controversial? He's the laughingstock of the news every time he's on, okay? Nothing makes you look stupider than using, or more stupid, sorry, stupider is not a word. More stupid than using that damn hashtag constantly. We're going to make Impact great. Wait, so Impact was never great then? Impact sucked for the 14 years or whatever it's been on until you got it. Is that what you're trying to tell me? That every other year that this company has been alive, it sucked. There was never a good time about TNA. But you went through and gave me their entire history at the beginning of the show. And it's so dumb. And then Dutch Mantel, we don't just get to name drop people, Gary. We get to show you pictures of all the people that have been on Impact before. AJ Styles. Oh, you know where AJ Styles is right now? In WWE. It's Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, Kurt Angle, Booker T, all in WWE. And then, Sting, he had to retire. And Kevin Nash and Christian. And the hell are we doing here? What are we trying to prove? That, hey, all these people you used to like, they're not here anymore because we were so bad at being a company that we got them to leave. And we even got you, the fans, to leave because we sucked. But now, we're not going to suck, okay? So you need to watch us now. You know what? If I didn't have to review this show, I would have turned it off after that. Because you just told me I don't need to watch Impact anymore. I don't need to watch any of this talent that is on Impact because they all suck. That's what you just told me. The people you have in your company right now suck compared to the people that we used to have. Why do I want to watch
TNA? The one thing I have a problem with this is I really did enjoy Dutch Mantel, Zeb Coulter back in WWE. I thought he did a pretty good job. I used to love the character he played. And now for him to come out and do this and kind of even take from his WB gimmick, which don't do that. Like, I get it, yes, there are WB fans watching, but just because you say we, the people, are going to make wrestling great again, that's going to make me pop and say, oh, look, he said we the people. Oh, my God, oh, my God. I mean, like, am I jumping up and down on my couch? He said we the people. No, I mean, that doesn't save all the old man junk, just junk that I heard. I was getting tired. Literally, I was like, oh, you're putting me to sleep, Dutch. Just get to
Gary,
your freaking point.
What a shot in the face to the people that are wrestling for that company right now.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. If I'm wrestling for that company, I'm embarrassed. That's your first show? If I'm a fan, I'm not a hardcore TNA fan, so... it just is just funny to me. But, like, if I'm a hardcore TNA fan, and I know a lot of hardcore TNA fans, freaking TNA Mecca was embarrassed. And they are the hardest of the hardcore that find every positive thing they possibly can about TNA. They were embarrassed by what was shown on it. They basically just told all their old fans, everybody, that, you know what? This is never going to be like it was before. But now, and it also sucked back then. Mm-hmm. So now, whatever you watched back then, it sucked. But now, this is what's going to be good. You know what? All I got out of the show is that this show sucked. Okay? There was like barely any redeeming qualities. Oh, and then guess what? The only thing we get from the Hardys is Brother Nero fighting with the stupid kangaroo. Okay, which wasn't funny after like the 5th time that he hit the kangaroo and like hugged him and whatever. Okay. And then, they teleport and they don't take the titles with them. So the Decay show up and now they're the tag team champions.
Okay, so...
This is the way you write off the Broken Hardys after all that.
So they've already, think about this, okay, before we even get to this part, they've already ruined one of my favorite managers, Zeb Coulter. So he already bored me to tears with his promo, which is very unusual for me. And then I watched earlier a guy that walked into a feud, which is between Patron and Lashley, EC3, who was like that breath of fresh air. You're like, it's like, when I saw him come out, it was like, when you're at a party and you finally see someone, one of your friends that you hang out with all the time. You're like, thank God they're here. I have someone that I can feel comfortable with now at this party.
Yeah.
That's how I felt with EC3. I'm like, oh, thank God, somebody I feel comfortable with. And then they make him look like a loser. Ignore him, like as if he didn't walk in the ring and talk. Like, hey, we're just going to have this match. And he's just standing there like, what the? Like,
he's just watching it.
And then he comes out and claps at the end. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus. Good job. There you go. Good job. You made one of the best parts of TNA look dumb. And then let's go to that point you're talking about, Sean. The Hardys have been the premier attraction for this company. So premier, Impact doesn't ever, and I mean ever, get anything with the WWE Universe. Guess what the WWE Universe has been chanting this year? Delete, delete, delete. So, TNA, you're doing something right because you're getting a group of people that usually don't.
Well, not TNA. The Hardys got something right.
Well, yes, but you're doing something right by having them on this roster, by letting them do this. Because TNA did not have to let them do that, but they did. So, you got to give them some credit. Now, the Hardys get majority of that credit. But my point being is, then you say goodbye like this, and then the Decay, who usually I kind of like, looks stupid too. They don't even look good themselves. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to bag on this all night. I really don't.
Well, but we're done with we're at the end. But.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, I feel like I bagged on this entire thing. But even some of my favorite
But there was nothing good about this show.
I know, but I feel like I'm just trying to bag on it, and I'm really not. But my problem is that my favorite parts of Impact Wrestling were terrible. And then throw in the things that I usually hate. Yay, good job, Impact. Great first show. Not.
It's like, okay, people already don't like Josh Matthews. Don't give us more Josh Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
Give us less. Don't make him annoying. He's already annoying. Like when Pope is the guy that is the voice of reason here. I hope this is not the entire tapings. I don't know if I can watch Impact next week.
Well, can I say I can't wait till next week to see how terrible it is? I just can't wait. It's like a train wreck.
It's just, I thought we were past this. I thought we were past the train wreck TNAs. Like, we had gotten a whole year of solid TNA. If you hadn't watched TNA until this, and you took off from, let's say the Claire Lynch thing and decided you're not watching TNA anymore, and you came back because they said this is a re-debut or whatever, I feel sorry for you because you missed a whole year of really good shows. Yeah, the shows don't really mean anything, and they don't really go anywhere, but there was good shows there. There's good wrestling. The Hardys had all their stuff. I mean, damn, it just... and then there's Slammiversary on July 2nd. Oh, God. Who's going to pay $35 for that?
We'll find out after we see more of these tapings, won't we? Yeah, they're going to have a hard time if they expect people to pay for that show. Either they're paying for it blindly, or they fix something in these tapings that we haven't seen yet. Otherwise, I don't know 15 people that would pay for that thing. But I don't even know 5.
Let's run this down one more time again for people that just so you can kind of understand. You debut Reno Scum, you debut Rachel Ellering. They get a total of about 6 minutes to show what they can do. Rachel Ellering looked good. Okay. Reno Scum got nothing, and that match was just whatever. And then you bring in Alberto El Patron. They have a just okay match with a lot of shenanigans that's all out of the WWE playbook and all out of the Jeff Jarrett playbook. All you needed to have was Bully Ray come back and start pulling apart the ring again. And like, just, there's a reason why Bully Ray decided to go to ROH instead.
Mm-hmm.
He probably knew, he could see the writing on the wall with Jarrett and all this crap. Eli Drake stood up to Jeff Jarrett and told him, look, this is stupid. And then you have 2 old guys, and look, I get it, Bruce Pritchard has a podcast that probably has more hits in like 2 weeks than we do in months or whatever, but like, honestly, just, you gotta be kidding me if you think that you got all those people listening to his podcast to watch TNA. And I'm sure that the rating is going to go up because there's going to be a lot of people that watch this show, not from listening to us, but to read every single review that's going to say the same thing, how bad this show was. They're going to go back and watch it. Just to see if it could possibly be that. Larry gave it a 0.
Wow.
A 0 out of 10.
Oof.
This was a dumpster fire. An absolute dumpster fire of a show. And look, the matches that you could deal with, the commentary was talking over each other so much that it's like, how could you enjoy this? How could you pay attention? You could put it on mute, but then it's like, oh well. And then not to mention the fake crowd noise that was obviously piped in too. Like, no one cheered when Patron came out.
I know.
And his music's terrible.
Yeah. all I can say is, Impact, good luck. I mean, I don't know. This is not a good foothold.
God, I hope they can't do any worse next week.
No, and they can't. And one other thing before we get out of this, because I know we need to get out of this, but the TNA thing, they said, okay, that's done. It's dead.
Oh, how many times did they say TNA is dead?
Exactly. And then I want to tell you this.
TNA has been taken over by Impact Wrestling. Wait, what?
I know.
This show has been called Impact Wrestling for years.
It's ignorance. Oh, and then the guy that wins your championship belt calls it the TNA title. He calls it the TNA Championship.
Well, because he's reading off the title that still says TNA World Championship on it.
Yeah, but you would think this guy would have been trained from backstage just to say Impact. And they could have done that. I know he's reading off the title, but, maybe you need someone in Spanish or something to say, call it, Impact Championship or whatever. I don't know. To me, that was a big hypocrite thing.
Oh, God, I can't imagine what this would have been like if Paul was on.
Oh, man, we would have just had to die. We probably could have just done a whole show on how this show was. But I can't wait to hear Paul's opinion on this. If you want to check out Paul's opinion, come check us out Monday night. We're going to ask him straight up, what did he think about Impact? So, yeah, that's Impact. So I think the rating of 0 works for everyone. But
is that what we're giving it, 0?
Even if we we never rank Impact, but I'm just going to say, hey, Larry probably is not wrong. But yeah, here we go. We have one last thing to do on the show, everybody, and we are going to get out of here. So before we do that, we got to crown a superstar of this week. So we'll be right back with that right after this.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, Sean didn't have it uploaded, did you?
No.
Not your fault. Our Spreaker. That's one thing we need to sell Spreaker. They need to give us a bigger discount because, my God, what's going on with this new system? But we don't need the music. Let's just do this thing, Sean. Let's go ahead and talk about Superstar of the Week, and we will give our first point to Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, Bill Goldberg won his first WWE Universal Championship in 20 seconds, 22 seconds, whatever the hell it is. 20-something seconds. Yeah.
So congratulations to him on that. That's cool for him. We're going to give 2 points over to Randy Orton.
Yeah. Hi.
He had a good match on SmackDown. That's
It's
all
4
a.m.
Randy Orton had a great match with AJ Styles to determine he is finally the rightful number 1 contender. I really enjoyed that match on SmackDown. They gave it a lot. They hyped it up. They made it feel like a great main event. You didn't have a ton of shenanigans and all that stuff. AJ did the fake out and everything, but it didn't turn out well for him. And Randy Orton hits that RKO and wins. And great stuff.
It was definitely great. I really enjoyed that one. We got 3 points going over to Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. wins the Rev Pro British Championship, defeating Katsuyori Shibata, a man that he has had several wars with. And he also joined Suzuki Gun. So now Suzuki Gun have another champion after Kanemaru and Taichi also won the junior tag titles on that show as well.
4 points will be headed over Hiromu's way.
Yeah, Hiromu Takahashi had a great match with Taguchi. Taguchi continues to be on a roll that when he wants to wrestle and he's in a big match, he delivers. And Takahashi is just tremendous. He's been that way this whole year. So, can't say nothing better. It totally deserves the 4 points.
And 5 points will be going to our Superstar of the Week, Neville.
Well, Neville gets this because, yes, Hiromu had a better match than both of the matches that Neville's in, but Neville had 2 very good to great matches, defending his championship both times with Jack Gallagher at Fastlane in one of the actually good parts of Fastlane, and then on Raw having a terrific match with Rich Swann. So, I don't think you can ask for a better week than that for Neville.
No, you're right. And, I'm very, very happy for Neville. I think he did an excellent job this week and well-deserved. I'll say it that way. Very, very well-deserved. So, but yeah, we are heading out of here, and we appreciate everybody for checking us out tonight. Of course.
Oh, and I do want to say that we are well aware that we probably should have done a Wrestler of the Month and Match of the Month today, but because Paul is not here, we're going to hold off and do that on Monday.
Yeah, we kind of feel like it's only fair to have his opinion on that, so we kind of want to push that off, and that it'll be just fine on Monday for us to do. So look forward to that on Monday. Okay, but yeah, we appreciate you once again. W2Mnet.com. Don't forget that's the place you can go find all our great content. Also, of course, once again, subscribe to the Wrestling to the Max or to the W2M Network, and of course, always thank you for coming and checking us out. And, hey, also rate and review. We don't plug that a whole lot anymore, but it does help us. So go to iTunes. Just go ahead and give us how many stars you want. I know 5 is a pretty solid number, I think. And, of course, make sure that you put in whatever you feel like the show deserves. Hello, hi, or whatever you want to say. Just put something on there. That way people get a chance to find us, and we appreciate that so much if you take the time to do that. So we're out of here, Sean. Until next week, we will see you guys down the road.
Later, everybody.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.